I'm Joanna Small, Public Affairs and Communications Manager for the Lynnwood Police Department. It's Friday, October 22nd, and this is your LPD Video Week in Review. Here's a summary of some of the most notable incidents your Lynnwood police officers responded to this past week or so. On October 8th, an employee at the Safeway on Highway 99 called 911 to report a person police trespassed from the store earlier that night was back, but in the process of responding to what seemed like a simple trespassing call, officers solved a car prowl. They saw the suspect riding his bike away from the store and dangerously through vehicle traffic on 99. He complied with our demands to stop. He would have just been cited for the trespass, but inside the backpack he was carrying, officers found jewelry still in boxes with the price tags attached, several IDs, social security cards, and a check all belonging to other people, and an iPhone, which rang during the search. The name that appeared on the screen matched the name on the check. When our officer answered the phone, the woman on the other end said her husband's backpack was stolen during a car prowl earlier that day. The suspect is now facing trespass and possession of stolen property charges. On October 9th, our officers responded to a violent two-car crash that was likely the result of a drug driver. A Chevy Malibu traveling at excessive speeds ran a red light on 36th Avenue West at 188th Street Southwest and struck a Honda Element driving through the intersection. The driver of the Element sustained critical, although not life-threatening injuries. One of the responding officers is also a drug recognition expert and suspected the driver of the Malibu was likely under the influence of marijuana. He was also injured and transported to the hospital for treatment, as well as a blood draw to determine if he was too impaired to drive. He is facing DUI and vehicular assault charges. On October 10th, two Good Samaritans called 911 to report a suspicious person walking down their street with bear spray and making statements about burglarizing a nearby property. When officers responded, we went to that property, Whispering Pines, the now vacant apartment complex that is a construction site. Officers located the suspect from the 911 call and another man inside the complex. Both ran, but were apprehended after a short foot chase. Both had numerous burglary tools on them, from wire strippers to bolt cutters, saws, screwdrivers, and electric current readers. One admitted they had illegally entered the property to steal copper wire. Both are now facing charges for burglary, making or having burglary tools, and obstructing a law enforcement officer for attempting to flee the scene. On October 11th, officers responded to a burglary in the 3200 block of 176th Street Southwest, in which the victim's home had been ransacked. They told officers they were only gone for about 40 minutes, but during that short amount of time, the kitchen window had been broken and nearly every closet and drawer had been tossed. Officers discovered a table had been moved underneath the shattered window to allow the thieves to climb into the house. The next-door neighbor told officers a few minutes prior to our arrival he heard people speaking Spanish in his backyard, then saw three men walk through his gate and hide between a truck and a trailer. When he asked what they were doing, they ran out of his yard and loaded into an older burgundy sedan that appeared to be waiting for them. Now, although the house was a mess, the only thing of value that appeared to have been taken was jewelry, as much as $20,000 worth of silver, gold, and pearl. If you know anything about this crime, call the number on your screen. On October 14th, officers responded to multiple 911 calls for a suicidal subject who had struck multiple vehicles with his own before fleeing the scene. It happened in an apartment complex in the 19,000 block of 36th Avenue West. After a fight with the mother of his child, a man who witnesses reported was under the influence of drugs or alcohol got into his vehicle and slammed into numerous vehicles, which in turn were pushed into other vehicles and a motorcycle. The suspect also allegedly injured his father's hand when his father attempted to prevent him from leaving the scene after the suspect destroyed property inside the apartment he shares with his son's mother. The man later came to the police station to turn himself in and is now facing multiple hit-and-run charges as well as domestic violence charges. If you follow us on social media, you probably saw our post about Deep Roots Tattoo and Piercing being burglarized overnight, October 14th into 15th. Our detectives are still looking for any information you might have about this crime, which resulted in the theft of very expensive handmade gold jewelry pieces. The suspect is seen on surveillance outside the store for several minutes before breaking two windows and entering the business. He's inside for about 10 minutes, stealing jewelry from cases and rifling through the cash register, as well as items behind the counter. It was a very personal theft for the business owners who make the gold jewelry themselves. If you believe you've seen these stolen pieces or have any information about this incident, call the number on your screen. And finally, today, Lynnwood detectives and members of our Special Operations Section took this 20-year-old Lynnwood assault suspect into custody. He's accused of stabbing another man at the Woodland Greens apartment complex on October 8th and then fleeing the scene. The victim was seriously injured, but he did survive. The stabbing occurred after the pair got into an argument in the parking lot. That's all for now. See you next time.